Hey, what is going on, guys? It is draft season, and in this video, I'm going to be doing my first player breakdown video. And of course, no wonder why, I'm going to be giving my number one rated player in the 2023 NFL Draft, Jalen Carter. We're going to be looking at his profile, his stats, player comparisons, his film, what the industry thinks about him, and then my final thoughts and grades and who I think he could potentially go to. So, I'm very excited. Let's get right into this video. So Jalen Carter is an interior defensive lineman out of the University of Georgia, and he is 6'3", 300 pounds, 21 years old, and he was a junior, of course, at Georgia. He will be 22 by when draft starts, April 27th, and his birthday is April 4th. Looking at his stats from last year, he played 10 games, missed 5 with an MCL injury, of course, two-time national champion at Georgia, played 308 snaps, had 18 tackles with 7 assists, 20 stops, 25 total pressures, 17 QB hurries, 5 quarterback hits, and 3 sacks with 2 forced fumbles. Now, not the greatest production, of course. We all know that the University of Georgia implements rotation schemes, and Carter also missed, of course, 5 games with an MCL injury, so his stats are a little diluted. With a full season, probably would have had 6 sacks pretty easily. But noting, his play style, very, very, very good at obtaining pressures. So you see 25 pressures to 3 sacks. Not a very good ratio, but if we look at NFL guys, that's what you love to see. You want to see pressure. Looking at his strengths and weaknesses, we can see a few things. So first, strong as an ox. Extremely, extremely strong, and, literally just moves offensive linemen out of the way. Extremely strong hands, and he's got a strong lower body. Some would say he has a weaker lower body, which I don't think is necessarily the case. His upper body makes up for it tenfold. He is athletic off the line, 300 pounds. He's not a 350 guy. Also very explosive off the line. He has a good first step. He has great pass rush moves. He's a good pass rusher, of course, generates a lot of pressures, 25 and 10 games. He is versatile. He can play from the 1 to the 3 to the 5 tech. He probably profiles best as a 3 tech guy to where he can face guards one-on-one. He's got good technique, even though once he gets to the NFL, he'll obviously get better at that aspect. Nobody has perfect technique coming out of college. He's dominant against single blockers, which is such a good ability to have because college offensive linemen and college offenses did not want to go one-on-one against Jalen Carter. They often double-teamed and triple-teamed him as well. He basically got the Aaron Donald treatment in college. And then he's also a phenomenal run defender, complete stopper. Teams would often run to the outside or run away from Jalen Carter, and when they ran to him, they didn't get that many yards. But, of course, going into his weaknesses, his stamina, low snap count at Georgia as well, around 60%, 50%, was not on the field every single down. He can end up on the ground a little too bit. I've read about that a lot with, scouting reports. And then, of course, on tape, you can see a little bit of him being on the ground a lot. Sometimes sloppy footwork that also contributes to him being on the ground. And then college production, of course, 3 sacks only. And then he's never had a year over 5 sacks. And then didn't much play his freshman year. Only had 2 years of major production at college and had a total of 6 sacks in those 2 years. But let's get into the film or, the videos. I really like this video. This is against Will Levis, a probably top 10 pick. Just swims and stops number 24 behind the line. Looking at it again, gets into the interior offensive lineman's shoulder and puts him on the ground. And then strong effort to get the running back on the ground as well. This was a fast play, but Ohio State tried to run. But look at this. This is what I really want to show. So, nobody is on the line. C.J. Stroud is ready to snap the ball. Everybody's out of place. And here, Jalen Carter right here sees the play, is the first one in action to really get ready. And then you see this is number 79, Dwan Jones. Dwan Jones is 6'8", 350 pounds, and has an 85-inch wingspan. And look what he does to him. He ends up all the way over here. Let's look at it again. Is head facing to this linebacker over here. I don't necessarily know what his name is. But shoves him completely out of the way and he ends up all the way over here. And then, of course, the play dials out. But that just shows his pure strength against a 6'8", 350 offensive lineman when he's not even ready on the line. The quality isn't great on this video, but basically this is the play that everybody likes to call to. The Jaden Daniels sack with, of course, Carter just completely lifting him up. Easily could have put him on the ground, but phenomenal play by Carter there. Also looking at it back, gets to the inside shoulder of the offensive tackle, bounces, and then gets to the quarterback. Here we can see Jalen Carter get triple teamed by 2 running backs. Does not matter. Still gets in the face of Hendon Hooker. You see one offensive tackle, loses immediately. They bring over this tight end, actually number 88, to basically be that second blocker. He goes all the way from this side to here, loses instantly, and then you have the running back as well. Hendon Hooker is able to get the throw off, but still gets hit by Carter. Another great play by Carter here. This is Osiris Torrance, who is 350 pounds, or who outweighs him by 40 to 50 pounds, around 345 basically. And once again, bull rush, great swim, still gets to get to Anthony Richardson, who has great athleticism and who's called, the best running quarterback. Looking at it again, good swim moves, and he even got hit in the face mask too. I feel like there was maybe a little grab there. In the national championship game, of course, good swim, good club, gets into the quarterback's face, allows a lot of pressure, and this ends up in an interception. Big time play here. Looking at it from technical angle, of course, fast off the line, is double teamed. You can see him going over here. And so he first chops, and then he gets attacked by this offensive lineman, swims him, gets past him, gets into the face of Max Duggan, of course, hand up, and then play results in an interception. That also shows a lot of his value, of course. This is a phenomenal effort play. Of course, Jalen Carter's mainly on a spy, and look how far away from Bryce Young, who is quite athletic, from where he takes off. So he's around, I would say this is what, maybe 5-ish, maybe 6-7 yards away. And he has a bad angle too. Bryce Young's getting running one. This is the distance between their runs, and he may actually very much gets very close to him, closing the gap. That just shows his athleticism. I know Bryce Young does score, but it does show his athleticism from an interior defensive lineman spot, which is coveted now. Once again, showing off that swim move, just instantly, even beats the running back onto the play. Now, Anthony Richardson does escape this, but that's just a phenomenal pressure right there. Here's Jalen Carter forcing a safety against Tennessee. Tennessee was easily Jalen Carter's best game of the season. Of course, I've already shown enough Tennessee highlights, but showing off the pure bull rush, menacing, and obviously Georgia gets the safety. But I've shown enough of his, highlights. But let's, what about his downsides? And this is from Theo Ash on Draft Time. I think he did a great example of one of his weaknesses, which is stamina. Theo Ash said, the issue with him will be stamina. His playstyle is frenzied. Sometimes it's like when you play 2K and spam dribble moves, and all of a sudden the fatigue meter starts beeping and your player gets tired. He plays with such immense intensity and usually tries a couple of different moves when he's doubled and is visibly exhausted. At times, he plays too out of control and slips and falls down. And he highlighted a video that supports this backing, where it's Jalen Carter immediately puts the defensive lineman on the ground, but then we see the double team, the triple team, plays with a lot of effort there, but still is put on the ground, even though he did put 2 offensive linemen on the ground, still ended up there, but still created havoc on the play though. Still a very good play, but a little bit of the sloppy footwork did end up on the ground, but I'll take you on the ground with 2 offensive linemen down there as well, and the play ended in a sack. When we look at what the industry thinks about him, here's Daniel Jeremiah on his draft prospect rankings, and boom, he's got Jalen Carter as 1. And if anybody knows anything about the draft, I would heavily listen to Daniel Jeremiah. I think he's one of the best draft analysts out there. Of course, not a Mel Kiper, but he's mainly the consensus number 1 or the number 2 draft prospect in the class, depending on how people value quarterbacks or how much they like Will Anderson. But for me, Jalen Carter, is my number one player in the draft, with Will Anderson being my number 2. With the last thing I wanted to highlight, of course, Jalen Carter. A lot of people don't love PFF. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do think that they have valuable information that like you can siphon from their website. Of course, I did not buy their subscription, but looking at this as well, Tennessee, which we reviewed extensively in my video, or in this video technically, 92.3 grade, such a good game from him. He had a 92.3 overall grade in 2022, and then looking at his snap count in the B gap, he had a B gap, which is the 3 tech, had 191 snaps. Even played in the A gap, which is the 1 tech, 43 snaps, and then the over tackle, which is the 5 tech, he played 43 snaps. So he's got good versatility from there. Played a good amount of, snaps throughout, but the production still with 3 sacks, 4 sacks in 2021. ESPN had him at 3.5. So so some of you may be asking, hey, what is his player comparison for the NFL? And my player comp is Quinnen Williams. Of course, I've seen a ton of Quinnen Williams as a Jets fan myself. And, this year, he was a Pro Bowler and he was a first-team All-Pro. But looking at him compared to Jalen Carter, they have a lot of similarities. First of all, they're roughly the same height and weight. Jalen Carter at 6'3", Quinnen Williams at 6'3", Jalen Carter weighing at 300 per ESPN, and then Quinnen Williams weighing 303, also by ESPN. The similarities, Jalen Carter's a top 5 projected pick. My number 1 prospect, of course, I think he's worth the number 1 pick, but he'll likely go within the top 5. Quinnen Williams was the 3rd overall pick in 2019. They had both similar hype out of college, where they were the best defensive lineman prospects of their respective, couple of years. For example, people call Jalen Carter the best defensive tackle prospect since Quinnen Williams, and people called Quinnen Williams the best defensive tackle prospect since roughly Aaron Donald. Now, with the technical aspect, they have similar pass rush moves, and then they have a similar bull rush, swim, etc. They've got pretty similar pass rush moves. They win in the same way as well. They both are great run defenders. I know I didn't show a lot of run tape on Jalen Carter because I wanted to highlight the pass rushing moves, which is a lot of people think, but they're both great run defenders, of course. They have both great techniques, but they also, this is a negative similarity, but they both have the same amount of snap count. Quinnen Williams had a 72% snap count for the New York Jets this year, and Jalen Carter, of course, Georgia, they like to rotate. He also had around a 60% snap count as well when he was on the field. But the thing about that is they both play extremely meaningful snaps. They're well rested, and when they're out on the field, they make a difference, but you just wish they were out on the field every single snap. But the differences are in college production. Quinnen Williams was extremely productive in college throughout his tenure there, and is very productive in the NFL. Of course, at 12 sacks last year. And I think Carter also uses more of his strength pass moves than Quinnen Williams. I think Quinnen used to use a lot of his, pure strength and like that earlier in his career. But I think now he's developed his technical aspect a lot, which I think Jalen Carter will eventually do, but Carter right now still uses a lot of bull and clubs. So my overall grade on Jalen Carter is that he's an early first rounder and he's a top 5 worthy pick. He also, for me, is a blue chip prospect. He has the potential of being a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro, which I think he definitely will capitalize on. And then if he's a top 5 worthy pick, who are the teams that he could potentially go to? I have him potentially going to the Bears, either at 1 or whether they trade down in the top 5. The Lions could potentially trade up for him, sitting at 6. The Cardinals are sitting there at 3 as well, and I think that is the most likely pick for me. And then I have the Seattle Seahawks at 5 if he drops to them. So that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you let me know your thoughts about Jalen Carter. Let me know other prospects that I should review. And, stay tuned for the mock drafts as well. I'm doing this all the draft season. And thank you for watching.